reminded a few years back when Matchroom made the move to DAZN, Frank Warren warned Eddie Hearn, you will not have Sky's advertising machine behind you. You better not go. So what's that? Famous last words, Frank? Let's go.
The most shady. Frankie, baby.
Still the hottest news. Frank Warren making his way with Queensbury over to DAZN, joining the likes of Matchroom, Golden Boy, Misfits. There's some of the bigger promotional outlets, and you also got Universal who've just joined, GBM Promotions, Duco Promotions, Solita Promotions. So that's 150 fight nights a year that DAZN will deliver. Another potential target, and this is just me saying, could be a potential target, is the ever-improving Pro Box that was in Belfast Friday gone. Robbie Davis versus Harvey A. Fortuna, and Corilla versus Padraig McCrory. Some good fights. 50-50 matchups.
The long-term vision now that Queensbury on board, does that mean that there's going to be another price increase? Could you give them a bit of an update on that?
Yeah, no, so there's no plans to increase the price.
And there's confirmation that Frank's arrival will not drive the cost up. Good news. I was thinking this morning, do TNT Sports stay in the game or do I get a new promoter to replace Frank? Or is it worth it with all the resources Frank will have at DAZN? It's unlikely Frank's successor will have the resources to maintain the standards that Frank set over there. Will they just perhaps go the way of their American cousins? HBO, Showtime, TNT, they're going to have to look at it. Now Frank's gone. Look at how it's been difficult for Ben Shalom and Boxer to transition into that slot that Eddie Hearn and Matchroom left. Is there anyone who can fill Frank Warren's shoes? Not anyone I can immediately think of. Frank's been on TNT, or BT, as it was known before, for 8 years. Matchroom was on Sky for 25 years when they left. For some reason, we all thought that Sky was going to fold when Matchroom left, but they didn't. But the way the standards have dipped since Matchroom's absence, you have to wonder, did they do it just to say, well, look, Eddie, we ain't going nowhere. We don't need you. When, in all truth, okay, they might not need Eddie, but you need something. And it ain't Ben Shalom. In the media, they're talking about a monopoly and if it's healthy for boxing. We've got Matchroom working with Queensbury even before Frank went over there. We see Matchroom working with GBM, the smaller promotional outlet. The likes of TNT and Sky, they're just not going to have the talent on their roster to compete. They're not going to have the output in quantity to compete. Where's there to go? Turki Al Sheikh and the Public Investment Fund have obviously invested in DAZN and expressed they would like to see all combat sports on DAZN. And someone in my comment section was saying that the UFC are probably on their way to DAZN as well. Some people are worried about a monopoly. As long as it's not illegal and DAZN are saturating the market, then from a selfish perspective, I won't have much complaints. If my subscription doesn't increase too much and the price of pay-per-view doesn't increase, then I'm going to ride with DAZN and Turki Al Sheikh. They are, however, making it very hard for potential rivals to compete at the top level. When Al Heyman came in the game, Bob Arum, his lawsuit against Al was based on the PBC was monopolistic, that Heyman served as both manager and promoter for most of his fighters, which would of course violate the Muhammad Ali Act, that he intentionally lost money to gain an advantage over other promoters, that he obtained exclusivity commitments from broadcasters. That's when he bought up all them TV slots. And yeah, Top Rank, Golden Boy, they were struggling with the consistency and quality that the PBC was putting out. The lawsuit was settled out of court. There will be a lot of networks looking at this situation, ESPN, and what happens with their renewal with Top Rank, Ben Shalom and his renewal with Sky, PBC, and how they continue on with Amazon Prime. You know, let's keep it real. If we're being sensible, it would take more than a booking issue with the venue to stop the Tank Davis-Lamont Roach fight. It would take more than that to stop the fight. And I'm not saying it's not going ahead 2025, but they're having to reshuffle things and work out how they can logistically make this work. That's what's happening. There was talk of a foreclosure of his mansion, and then he was supposed to fly out in December to Japan. But if the fight was cancelled for the 14th of December, why would he be flying out if it's going to be rescheduled early next year? Surely he'd stay in camp. Anyway, he's still on probation from a previous hit and run, and the judge denied him his request to fly to Japan. So there's a lot going on there and a lot they're covering up. You look at Sky and Boxer, they've got to make up the stories to market their fighters like Eubank was negotiating with Canelo, only for Eddie Reynoso to blow it out the water.
Who does Chris Eubank go and fight? Canelo is out the window now, as they've stated. And it's quite embarrassing because he's got a promoter who doesn't know what he's doing.
Making a big deal about signing Eubank. Well, who's Chris going to fight next? Canelo? Well, we know that's not happening. They're literally waiting around for a Conor Benn fight. They're at Matchroom and Conor Benn's mercy. Frank Smith said Boxer have put on 7 cards on Sky for the calendar year. That's like a drop in the ocean for Matchroom and TNT. PBC, how much cards have they put on? No more than 7, no more than 6. So either someone has to come up with a plan to compete with Turki, Al Sheikh, and DAZN, or it's over for them. Ben is not getting an adequate budget from Sky. He's not. Simon Jordan spoke about how much subscribers they're losing. And if what he's saying is true and eventually they have to give up them Premiership football rights, they're sunk. Buying Premiership rights is costly. And if you're losing subscribers, perhaps not affordable. Inoue has signed a £15 million deal with Turki Al Sheikh. News just in. I still assume he's got fights left with Top Rank. But I'm going to assume that he'll be fighting on DAZN as well. They're saying he won't have to necessarily fight in Riyadh season. He can stay in Japan. So, yeah, big news. It all happens fast. It all happens fast with these guys. Frank, Inoue. Turki eventually got his man. Eventually. 23 consecutive world title fights. All wins. Nayor Inoue.
If it helps make fights in this current auspice of how everyone gets on, or certainly how Eddie and Frank get on, then it helps. But if it also creates a lack of competitivity in the broadcasting marketplace, let's see. Because DAZN, for me, I don't think it's a great platform. I don't think it's done brilliantly.
Okay, he took his little shot. He doesn't think DAZN is all that. But even if he was correct, what's the truth?
There is no competition.
And then Simon Jordan went on the show with Jim White today, and he spoke about the deal, and he expressed concerns that less broadcasting the sport hinders like the exposure of the sport, and the less broadcasting the sport, like the more monopoly that gets paid, it could be a hindrance for the sport.
Simon Jordan's entitled to his opinion. For me, his opinion and what he's got to say about how boxing's evolving and whatever, I couldn't give a flying toss about, because everything he's said about boxing up to now has been completely and utterly wrong. Everything. Not one thing. Everything. What he says we should be doing.
Fair enough, I there.
It's like me telling him how to run Crystal Palace.
Let's look at the devil's advocate, the disagreeable equation in this debate. If they're talking about a monopoly, how do you qualify that? And let's start in America, where the top broadcasting networks don't want to put boxing on. HBO, Showtime, Fox, gone. Let's step over to the UK. BBC, ITV, gone. Simon's talking about the big impact that Sky have had in boxing, etc., etc. Well, that was largely due to the 2 promoters who are now in DAZN. Frank Warren, Barry Hearn, Eddie taking up the slack from Barry. There can't be a monopoly if a lot of people have bailed out from boxing and the money is not being made from broadcasting boxing. They are merely making something out of a product nobody really wants to broadcast. Or someone like Simon would say they're not successful. You know, the whole argument that Bob Arum made against the PBC, they're deliberately losing money to put rival promoters out of joint, is crazy. So if they're losing money, they're selling a product that is hard to sell. It's not like they're pushing you out of a market that is extremely lucrative. Hey, I'm not a big businessman. I thought attrition was a legitimate strategy. And if that's what DAZN have done, endure losses to see off the competition, it is what it is. If Sky, as great as Simon has said they've been, and they haven't been great since Eddie Hearn has gone, or TNT for that matter, if they couldn't pay Frank or Eddie to stay at Sky or TNT, that's attrition. And DAZN are winning out. Then he threw the shot at DAZN, Simon, that he doesn't think it's very good. Well, you can't compare the output that came from DAZN to Sky Sports. It's not comparable. So what do you mean it's not that good? The only serious traffic that Sky Sports get is from either Bob Arum and them Top Rank shows they put on Sky, or the Saudi cards where the content is spread over 3 platforms from Sky, TNT to DAZN. And even then, possibly Fabio Wardley versus Fraser Clark is the best they produced, a British title fight on Riyadh season. They haven't had an AJ, a Tyson Fury. a Dubois, a Nick Ball, a Jai Opataya. Matchroom had Bivol in one of the undisputed fights this year, and TNT had Tyson Fury in the other. So there's a lot of hatred because the big players are widening the gap, and now they're calling it some monopoly, like someone's doing something bad to somebody, making arguments that boxing needs to get out to more people for it to succeed. Well, the truth is, unless it gets back on terrestrial television, that's not going to happen. And like I mentioned earlier, the BBC and ITV want nothing to do with it. They want nothing to do with it. When boxing disappeared off BBC and ITV, I never heard of any stories of a number of complaints that we don't have boxing on terrestrial television anymore. I never heard of it. And we're talking years now. Years that it hasn't been on either ITV or BBC. If you're just talking about viewership numbers, Channel 5 do more than DAZN, Channel 5 Boxing, than DAZN, TNT and Sky. But it's still not an audience that attracts the headlines on the sports pages. Its reach on terrestrial television might outdo the satellite services like TNT, Sky, or the apps like DAZN when it's competing with other terrestrial programming like Love Island or Celebrity Get Me Out of Here. It's getting buried. It's fake outrage. All this monopoly talk is fake. It's the only thing they can throw at DAZN. Simon's got his money tied up in Sky with Ben Shalom and Boxer or whatever. He's got TalkSport banned off Riyadh season. So all he can do is hit back.
Take your best shot.
We've heard Bob Arum and we've heard the PBC tell us that certain fights are not going to happen in America because of piracy and illegal streaming issues. If it wasn't for DAZN and Turki Al Sheikh, boxing would be on its ASS. Let's keep it real. They've soaked up and absorbed a lot of the costs to broadcast a lot of the quality cards that we've witnessed, especially in the last 2 years. And the pay-per-view prices, compared to what the PBC is still charging, that's why the tank fight's not happening, man. You cannot sell Lamont, Freddie Roach, Gervonta Davis for £60, £70, $60, $70 when you see what's coming out of Riyadh for a fraction of the price. And don't get it twisted, a lot of Americans are not warming to the undisputed fight at light heavy or at heavyweight. They're not warming to that. The fact that Turkey is lowering the prices, they're not warming to that, but that just shows you that the machine is busted over there. Let's not pretend that there hasn't been a platform that has had several promoters alternating between each other. Sky Sports, before Frank Warren left, they had Haymaker Promotions, McGuigan, Frank Maloney, Mick Hennessy. They all used to alternate between each other. Obviously Matchroom took it over. They became the main promoter. So was that a monopoly when they had all the promoters on there? Not really, because ITV were totally out, BBC were out, Santanta had a little spurt, there was no BT. People are like crybabies, yeah? DAZN and Turki Al Sheikh are basically packaging a product that most of them don't really want to touch because of the piracy issues and the illegal streaming. That's what the PBC and Top Rank have told us. Remember when McGuigan, Hatton, Maloney and Frank Warren made that pact on Box Nation to go against the Hearns when the Hearns took over at Sky? That picture's almost iconic. And now look at Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. April the 1st is when it jumps off. Frank Warren also said he's going to promote some cards in America, which he hasn't done, I believe, since 1997, when Prince Nassim Hamed knocked out Kevin Kelly, in what has to be said is an all-time classic.
You know, the big thing with the Prince was, it was like, okay, a gun fest, but it's like, you know, at the end of the day, I didn't believe that he was going to throw that left hand that he did. When the last punch that he threw and caught me in my temple was more off balance, but when I hit the ground, I was thinking to myself, you stupid idiot. Because I didn't think that he was going to throw that punch.
Yeah.
But he did. And when he hit me with it, I was like, oh, dang. So I was just trying to slow down, taking a knee, so giving Benji Estevez time so I can just... But when I got up, I thought I was going to continue, but they stopped the fight.
I wonder what Frank's got in mind doing cards in the US. Eddie Hearn's involvement in American boxing hasn't been welcome at times, but you got to stick with it. You know, he's got a great card on Saturday, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, with Boots versus Kakazian and Bam versus Guevara. When the article came up in Boxing Scene that Frank intended to do cards in America, there was people like, we don't want no Brit promoters over here. So it's very insular over there. But Frank's got the thick skin to deal with it. And even recently on Twitter, I was saying, yeah, we want boxing back, but it has to be in America. So they're not prepared to really engage with Riyadh season and the other territories that are opening up and becoming very lucrative, while American boxing is really trying to find its feet. A lot of people have actually gravitated to the pro box format, which is free on YouTube with Paulie, Chris Algieri. It's not complicated, it's basic boxing, it's 50-50, and it's becoming more and more popular. I actually think there's a lot of fans over there who would prefer to have no boxing than foreign invaders who they can't trust promoting cards on their homeland. TNT still got some big nights with Queensbury left. 21st of December, Tyson Fury challenges Alexander Usyk for the undisputed heavyweight championship at heavy. And obviously, Daniel Dubois is looking to get back out there in February. Anthony Joshua will not be in the opposing corner. Joseph Parker is a name that's came up a lot, and I agree, it should be Parker next. However, him being the interim WBO title holder means he's omitted from the IBF top 15. But I'm sure there's ways around it. You know, like smack someone around from the IBF and tell them,
Make this happen. Yeah.
fair is fair, current form. Joseph Parker beat Deontay Wilder, Zhilei Zhang. He should get the shot. Another guy I'd like to see get a shot at Daniel is Fabio Wardley. Joseph Parker's issue is people want to see the punches paired up. It appeared the other week that Zhilei Zhang did a little swerve to avoid Martin Bakole. And a lot of people were disappointed. They were hoping to get that fight over Zhang versus Parker. Maybe because they've seen it already. But people want to see the punches get paired up. Joseph Parker himself, he said he's working on his punch power. Because he himself probably sees, hey, despite my run of form, they're overlooking me. Talking about Zhang, Bakole, Fabio Wardley, when they haven't had the wins that I've had.
Turki Al Sheikh, so impressed with you. We want to see more at this stage of your career.
I need knockout power, and that's what I've been working on. I need to knock some people out, and I need to be more exciting, and that's what I want to do.
It looks like Frank Warren has got cold feet on a Fabio Wardley, Daniel Dubois fight. And Barry Jones said it might be better if Fabio develops more experience before taking on such a stern challenge. Probably rules Fabio out. At the same time, I'll pitch him in there with Daniel because he's a puncher. Daniel would be the favourite. Of course he would. But providing both of them were up for the fight, yeah. I would definitely let Fabio have his puncher's chance at Daniel Dubois. Yeah, I would. Okay, this episode is over, but
I'll be back.
Got no peer and it's clear. Fuck, I care when they glare. They ain't fucking with me this year. You know the burden I bear, being a model to y'all. Trying to teach them how to rhyme like follow the ball. On the words on the screen, don't be deterred when I scream. I lose my patience at times, but I prefer them to bring some attention when I'm teaching. Infrequent is my lessons. I diagram the patterns, the sequence of my sessions, the secret of perfection, rejection of suggestions, the best without a question. In essence, I was destined to be on top of pedestals, positioned at the pinnacle. Experiences made me wise. They just think I'm cynical. Really, I'm invincible. Competition minuscule. Try to spit this shit tongue and tie like a tennis shoe. I just do what winners do. Hard work, dedicated. This another victory, let's celebrate it. I just be bombing these tracks. These motherfuckers, they funny. They some comedy acts. If it's a crime to be whack, they should be doing the bid. At least a bracelet on your ankle, keep your crew in the crib. I never do what they did. I be setting the trend. They think I'm writing a story, I'm recollecting again. Got no affection for them, not a strand of emotion. I'm only still in the game, cause I'm a man of devotion. They huffing, puffing, I'm coasting. As smooth as the breeze, what they considering skills is just confusing to me. I've been abusing the beat since I was barely a teen. Step on the stage with rich rap chicks will hear me and scream. But I'm a killer at this, I could bury a team. Ask me what I'm worried about and I say nary a thing. How could you worry a king? I'm royalty, yeah, I elevated. This another victory, let's celebrate it.